Welcome to STAR, Society of Tarot and Astrology Readers podcast. I'm Nao.
And I'm Joaly.
And today we are going to talk about our experience at Austin Witchfest, a one-day festival event in Austin, Texas, which was our first in-person festival. We're going to explore the astrology of the day, what it's like doing readings in person, and how the STAR community is transforming in the aftermath of the COVID pandemic. This has been one hell of a ride to get us here in person. We're actually recording the podcast in person in a hotel room here in Austin. And it's been an amazing weekend that's been so illuminating, so eye-opening, and so life-changing, I think, to just us and like the bigger picture of what STAR is and what it's going to be doing in the future.
Absolutely. I am actually just pleasantly surprised how smoothly this weekend has gone and how much fun we've had, and to actually be here in person together recording the podcast is amazing, and really seeing the impact that these in-person meetups are having on the community, and the motivation that provides and the vision that it provides for what our future is going to be here at STAR. So one thing I want to do is set the stage in much of our podcast and explore the astrology of what it is that we are talking about. So first, we are going to explore the chart of the day. Nao has brought it up over here. And like I said, we are talking about Witchfest. Witchfest took place on March 5th in Austin, Texas. We're pulling up the noon chart for the day. So this is a midday chart, which is a good marker for the event, as it was probably super poppin' from like 11 to like, I don't know. Or we were super popping from.
Yeah, from like 11 until 5 o'clock.
Yeah, so midday, astrology of the day. What stands out to you, Nao? Like, what's the first thing you see?
Well, automatically, like, if I think all of us, when we do chart readings, we always just like, where's that sun at? Where's that moon at? What's that rising? We always want to see the big three first, right off the top. So for this day, for this time at noon in particular, we're dealing with a Pisces sun, an Aries moon, and a Gemini rising, at least for this particular point in time. Though I think the rising of the event, for me, like on event charts, I don't focus on risings as much. It's just kind of like a sprinkle.
It is. Well, I mean, it's just where the sun was at that moment. The rising sign is going to change throughout the day. It's going to be the quickest changing thing about the chart. So no, it's not as relevant. Just because 2 hours later, the rising sign is going to change, and how much of the day has completely changed in 2 hours. But I think it can, depending how exact or precise you want to be with astrology. That's a beautiful thing about astrology, is you can take like a surface level approach, or even just looking at the sun and the moon. We wouldn't even have to look at the additional aspects. We could just take that and get a really good vibe for the day. So the sun in Pisces, the moon in Aries. And that's what we were dealing with. A 22-degree Aries moon and a 15-degree Pisces one. Sun conjunct Jupiter. Exact.
It was exact. So it's really like, the thing that I love about Jupiter is like its ability to impact our Jupiter is a sign of growth, always. It's always about things are about to grow. And because it's on our sun, it's like, this is personality growth. This is like your baseline consciousness growth, which is good. This is where you're able to see like positive changes come into your life consciously. It's more active than say like a passive influence would be. Whereas like, I feel like the moon has a more passive influence at times, because it's that subconscious aspect of our lives. And because Jupiter is there, it's very like eyes wide open and seeing the changes, like, and you're consciously aware that that's what's happening. That these things are in process and you're being changed in the moment right now.
And in a sign like Pisces, anything's possible.
Yes.
You know, Pisces is a culmination of all things. How are we going to, out of the Jupiter signs, to me, it is just the more mystically magical in that sense. So a sun conjunct Jupiter in Pisces for a Witchfest, I think is a really cool aspect. The other thing that stands out to me is that Venus Mars conjunction in Capricorn at 29 degrees, going into 0 degrees, 2 critical degrees back to back, and how that energy of that drive for what you love, bringing the urgency to bring it into the material at 29 degrees Capricorn, into that urgency of all things Aquarius at 0 degrees Aquarius, just within the next 24 hours of this was hugely felt. This most platonically loving experience I've had in a very long time. And you definitely could feel that in the drive to see what you love and move towards it. That conjunction is strongly felt. And that ability to be transformative within 2 degrees of a 27 degree Capricorn Pluto, as Capricorn approaches Aquarius. Dun, dun, dun. I wonder what that is going to be. I wonder. So unpredictable because it's Aquarius. But yeah, that is what stood out to me. That Venus-Mars conjunction, along with what Nao had mentioned with the Sun and Jupiter. But we also have Mercury and Saturn hanging out in Aquarius too, bringing home that revolutionary, new, different. There was definitely different types of people that we saw. So many really beautiful, gorgeous people that you get to see. You don't see every day, so that was really cool.
Yeah, and I think the Mercury and Saturn conjunction, I mean, granted, like Mercury's like trying to like move away from Saturn actively at the time, so it was almost like Mercury had its constriction by Saturn, because we know Saturn can kind of do that. It likes to bind things. It likes to place boundaries around things. And in Aquarius, because that's the home sign for Saturn, technically, if we're going with more traditional astrology, it's almost like putting an appropriate mask on Mercury to being like making sure that your communication has like specific boundaries that thou shalt not cross in the name of like human expansiveness. Which can be good, because sometimes like Mercury can just talk too much, especially Mercury in Aquarius. We've got a lot to freaking say always at all the time. And granted, it's in good common language so that it translates very well. But that Saturn's probably good at putting a little bit of a yoke on it, just to kind of keep it a little bit more structured, a little bit more controlled, instead of being a little all over a place, a little bit too eclectic. But then letting it go so that way it felt like almost like towards, as the event progressed on, that we were really like just transitioning into a much more open communication. Because for us personally, we worked the event as readers.
We did.
So we're being there in our professional mannerism, which I really see as symbolic of, especially of like the Venus and Mars conjunction, because we were there to be about business. When we first got there, we were there to promote Star, talk about the podcast, do readings for people. And then the rest of the event, which was like going back to our Airbnb with all of the STARlings who kind of came into town and were there at the event, but we were working, so we couldn't really like connect and hang out because we're trying to be about our Capricorn life. But then as, the evening wore on, that transition of Venus and Mars into Aquarius, like you said, shifted into this really great platonic expression of connecting with these people that we've been talking across the internet, which the internet is super fucking Aquarian, right? And having them for the first time together there with us. So, and we just did exactly what we would do on the internet, which was talk and have fun.
And laugh.
Laugh so much.
It's just so important. And that all those planets in Aquarius really show you the star energy, not only star society, but star tarot card, humanity, connecting with one another, hope after, a time of just, we've all been quarantined. We haven't been able to hang out. We haven't been able to see each other. There would have been lots more meetups in the last 2 years if things weren't as dire as they are. But that Aquarian sense of spirituality, of in terms of community and in terms of the star, like the tarot card itself. So I really love to see all those planets in Aquarius. This event was revolutionary for me because it was my first time as a reader reading for the public. And I did not know when you told me this morning that it was your first time.
Yes, because I've done readings for people like in person before, but it's always been like friends and family, like not for a financial.
Yeah, smaller.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
No financial exchange involved. It's always been like, I'm doing it because I want to do this for you. Mm-hmm. And then because all the bulk of our other professional readings have all just had to be conducted over the internet. Mm-hmm. So this was the first time being like, you could walk up to the booth, pick the reading out that you wanted to read, and then we're going to sit down here at this table and we're going to do that reading right now in front of your face.
And we just traded off. Mm-hmm. How was it for you? Did it meet your expectations? Did it?
I have to say, like, the first one I did, I'm not going to lie, like, I had my imposter syndrome was, like, crawled into the back of my mind, was like, hey, baby, you sure you know what you're doing out here? I was like, fuck, get away from me. Like, no, thank you. So, like, the first one, I felt like I had that moment where my confidence just wasn't quite sure at first. But honestly, it was when after that we traded off and I listened to you do yours and how I felt like she's just out here killing it again because she's just like the most amazing cartomancer that I've ever met in my freaking life. And that just like, it made me, listening to you just made me like calm down and just made me realize like I was being a little too unintentionally uptight with that first reading. And just to relax and just do what I do, not try and present myself in any type of way. Because I think I had a moment of thinking about like, oh, got to be ultra professional, got to be blah, blah, blah. It's like, but my style of reading is very, very casual. It's very Mercury and Aquarius, like just being like, and being expressive and being playful and being a little dramatic, letting that Leo side kind of come through. And so once I like let go of that and just told myself to just, the only different, you do it this so many times for other people, granted through the filter of, you know, a microphone or through the filter of the internet, but like, just do what you do when you do it over there and you'll be fine. Cause you know, you've done this before so many times and people have loved it. So it's just like, it's a fractional difference and not to let that go to my head. And then after that, it was gravy, baby.
Absolutely. What helped me was the cards themselves. These are the same cards I read with on a day-to-day basis. I do readings a lot at home. So every day, most days, I'm doing readings. So that part was the same. The different part for me was the live feedback and like people's live questions and emotions. Yes. While you're doing their reading and like how that portion of the energy exchange is more intense. Because a lot of my Queen Machete readings are recorded. So I'm doing the reading and I have my emotional connection, but a lot of it is through the cards themselves and my familiarity with the archetypes, not necessarily, not necessarily, factually not emotionally connected to the person in front of me in real time. So when you experience that, I would say that it does make the reading more, how it affects me as a reader is I felt like I could go deeper. I could, you already see somebody's emotional state. It gives you feedback and confidence to go places that if you didn't see what they were going through, if they were agreeing with you or not, that you probably wouldn't go down. So it will give you courage because that's what readings are. Readings are for tarot readers. Sometimes it can be the courage to just say what you want to say. And we're using the cards to kind of validate the excuse to say that. And when you get live feedback from a client, I do think it does affect where you're willing to go. And it's encouraging. It's like performing in front of an audience. You get energy from the audience. They clap or they respond to what it is that you do. And there's definitely an element of live performance associated with giving tarot readings. But the grounding nature of the cards themselves to be like, no matter what I do, even if TSA touches my cards like they did and goes through all my cards, they're still tarot cards. They're still going to tell their story and be that familiar tool that you know. So for people listening who haven't done their first show yet, I think it is important to know that you can do it, especially if you have your usual deck. And you go back to what it is that you know. I mean, I guess we're Leo rising, so we do like that element of performance. So if that's not you, I know there's all different ways to deliver readings, even like written and not even orally performing them either. So, but that is a way. And is it something you do again? Is it something that you want to incorporate in your practice, reading live?
I think this has definitely inspired me to do that more. Because I always knew, like, again, I can do it because I have absolute faith in my knowledge of the cards and how it works and what they do and what I can say to no matter what card pops out of my deck, I know what I'm about to say. Right. And so knowing that and having this experience, and especially towards the end, like once I got that initial one that just felt I just had to have that one weird one to start it off with. And like watching the emotional responses from people and then just like realizing that I'm pulling up from the depths of these people's experiences, from the totality of their life, these symbols, and pointing to certain fixed points that both they understand as a human being and that I understand as a human being, and being able to show them that these are the ones that are really like in your face right now that need your attention now, and seeing their reactions to that. It's amazing to get that live one-on-one. Like when I did a reading for this one lovely lady. She was very young. I could tell she was probably maybe just 18 or 19. She was very, very young. Just doing she just wanted to have a general, which is totally fine. Like, so we're not walking in there with any specifics of expectation about what these cards are going to say or the particular lens that I'm reading through. It's just very much like open, like what comes through is what comes through kind of thing. And for her, we were doing the classic arc spread that we love to do here at Star, the accept, release, continue that you pioneered, you gorgeous lady, you.
Thank you.
And her release card was the Empress. And like, I had that moment of like, the Empress is very much like about mother energy. It's motherhood, but it also can be like the actual representation of our mother, and our relationship to her. And so I was like, I took a moment because I was like, this can go multiple ways because our moms are significant to our psyche. Everybody's mom is significant to their psyche, whether she was there or not there or only half there. Like that's an impact.
However she was.
Or
is not.
And is not. And it turned out to be, and I was like this. And the only one I was like, I took a moment and I was like, this is your mother. And stopped. And the moment I finished that sentence, I looked up from the card and I looked at this young woman's face, and her eyes immediately filled with tears. And it was like realizing in that moment that like what I am doing is not just real to me as the card reader, as the person who knows this body of knowledge and these series of symbols and what they are and how they relate, but that it made it immediately real to her in that moment. That what I was doing was so tangible and had a significant emotional impact on her immediately because unfortunately she had lost her mother about 3 years prior. So that's still fresh, still fresh,
and
especially when you're young.
You're young. It doesn't matter when. And that's the thing. That's one of the things. Speaking of all that heavy stuff, I'm just going to be real. It was a lot. My friends started coming, and I just wanted to hang out with my friends and not, like, do so many readings back to back. We didn't bring crystals. Like, there was some stuff we didn't bring to, like, help ground how much emotion would be there.
There was a lot of emotion.
We both, and I thought about bringing crystals. I'm like, I'm going to need crystals. And I remember asking Nao, should we bring crystals? And she was like, no, because we don't want to lose them. And I was like, yeah. I was thinking that too. So I was thinking both ways. But in retrospect, I should have brought crystals, or I should have wore sandals or something. We both had like very covered up feet too. It was just very...
It was our inaugural time doing this. So it's a learning experience. You just go in there kind of light, just to kind of like, we're just seeing what's going on. We're doing recon. Running recon.
I didn't know how it's going to be. So yes, definitely another advice I would tell somebody is bring grounding materials, especially if it's your first time. Yeah. Because it can be really emotional, and people can have very emotional responses to the things that you're saying. And for me, if I have somebody in my face, like having an emotional experience, I'm just like, I'm emotional. I get emotional as well, and I don't know how helpful that is to people or not. So, I still need more experience doing the readings. But like I was saying, our friends from Star started arriving as we're doing these emotional readings. And imagine doing a reading. It's Star, so we won't tell the truth here. Imagine doing a reading for somebody and you're in it, you're telling them that, they're getting it from you. And this person that you have loved for years, and talk to almost every day and know each other's life pops up. And is like right behind them, and you're seeing their face, and you're trying not to have a response to seeing, Sky for the first time, or Jean, or Leslie, and you're in the middle of a reading, and they kind of just pop up. So that was an experience, unexpected Aquarian situation that my friends started showing up, and I kind of, because I do readings every day, and they're emotional every day. It's not like they're not. It's heavy lifting every day, whether you do them in person or not. But it's not every day that I see these beautiful people. And as the day went on, around 4 or 5, it became very like, I need to hang out with my friends. Like, I really do. They're here. Let's all be together. And we weren't even like, I think Leslie did get me a drink, a Truly, my first one ever. Shout out to Leslie, who looked absolutely beautiful. And people brought me energy drinks and lemonade. So shout out to everybody who brought me beverages that day. I was just so excited to see my friends. How did you feel about seeing STARlings for the first time?
It's so fascinating because it's like we've been having these connections with our STARlings. For those of you listening who are like, what the fuck are these ladies talking about right now? We'll get a little bit more into the specifics of that later, but we call people who are members of STARlings. That's just what our tagline for that is. And so seeing them, like these people who you've been talking to long distance in group chats, maybe in the comment sections of certain spaces, no matter where you are on social media, there's always a STARling. But so you're having these interactions with these people every day, and you're getting to know their personalities and their sense of humor, and their style. And then it's like, and now they're actually physical for the first time. It's like, still like an illusion. Like it still has like a dreamlike feeling. And maybe it's because of the sun is so close to Neptune right now that makes it feel like a dream.
It has felt like a dream.
It's really been, and I love it though. I felt like I've been high all weekend, and I have not. I have actually 0% been actually high, because I'm so high on the fact that it's like these people are real, and we've been laughing and it's my favorite thing in the world to laugh until I'm crying or until my sides hurt and I can't breathe. And I've been doing that all weekend with these people for the first time in person, and it's felt just the same. It's felt like no different, that these people are just naturally, normally, like they've been in my life the whole time, because they have in a way. They have.
I have a different relationship with marijuana, so different correlation to it has felt like a high versus have I actually been high situation. I've had an amazing time. I just have had an amazing time with my friends, and I do think we have that Aquarian energy to thank for that. But it has felt like a dream. It has felt like a dream because things have gone so well, and there wasn't like, they're just everything. The beginning of the day at Austin Witchfest itself was really windy, and we're new to festivals. As we said before, and all of our stuff was new. We're not from the area. We don't have experience with what the weather could have been like. When I flew in from Puerto Rico personally. So, and even when I think of Texas, I think hot. I didn't think windy, but obviously they have like tornadoes. Obviously it's windy. It was windy. It was windy the first part of the day, to the point where everything we were setting up was falling over multiple times. And tents had even blown away, because it was supposed to be 4, like a little 4 block.
Yeah, we were going to have 4 tents, and one of our compatriots, we had set up the booths, the little pop-up booths, the night before, and we had forgotten stakes for most of them. We only had like a few, so we had just like barely staked down. We tried to get 2 stakes into each of the pop-ups, and then we ran out. So we're like, okay, that's just gonna have to be good. And one of the tents did not survive the night. It got picked up by the wind and smashed, broken. But she was able to kind of scooch in with us, and the 3 that we had remaining, and we made it work. So it was a bit of a struggle because it was hard to like set things up and to watch things like get knocked over, get blown down, and not really to have the materials to like fix that in a way that's like, nope, the wind doesn't matter anymore. But we had to like, it was a good exercise in like patience and realizing like we can't stop the wind. Even though this is a witch festival, I'm sure plenty of people talked and asked the wind, but the wind doesn't give a fuck about us. Sometimes the wind's gotta blow.
Is gonna do their own thing. Huracan.
So we were able to just like, for me, I tried not to like, because I was so excited and determined to make the day a good day. I was like, I'm just not going to let it bother me. We're just going to work with it. It's not, is it ideal? No, but like, we're still going to be here. We're still going to have a good time because we're together. Even if like we didn't actually like sell a single reading or a single sticker or anything, like nothing happened at all, I still knew and took comfort from the fact, well, then a bunch of STARlings are going to be here regardless, and I'm going to get to see them. And today's going to be a good day no matter what. And eventually the wind did calm down.
It did. And I, to be honest, did not expect to sell so much or to be as busy.
Yeah.
I was like, who would want a sticker that means like this much to me personally? You know, made by my friend, like the I'm an empath. I mean, it's cute, and I know that people would want the design, but some of these are like, they just mean so much to us that I don't know if it appeals to. It's our first time out. We don't know if this is a universal thing, but we have at the society so many of our own emotions in each one of these designs. And I didn't know if, like, is it universal? Are people going to look at, you know, I'm an empath, sweetie, look it up and feel what we feel? Or even how do we translate? Star is very Aquarian, is my point. Star is very Aquarian, and it's different and it's weird. And I didn't know how people are going to feel about it, because it's even different and weird within the witch community. I would say our booth was a little sparse compared to others just because it's new and all the things we explained. But I think our aesthetic was unique in that space, even there, to really see, okay, we're not, whereas a lot of the other spaces looked very similar to one another.
Agreed.
So that was really cool to see Star in comparison. But I didn't know. I mean, like, there's going to be so many tarot readers here. I'm not from here. I didn't assume we would be literally, like, not enough. So for future reference, we need more tarot readers at the Star booth.
Yes.
Top STARlings.
So STARlings come work the booth with us next year. Well, hopefully next year we can have people like Tanya from Mercurial Wonder be there with us. So
doing the astro readings. Doing the astrology readings, yes. We needed an astro reader. I did end up doing some astrology readings at the end, and it works. It does work. It does work. It's just, it does. Astrology readings in person are different than tarot readings in person, though.
Yeah, I think you just have to work harder.
You in a way.
In a way.
Yeah.
I mean, even though it's still a series of archetypes, it's still a series of symbols that have specific meanings that are codified and that we're pretty familiar with. It's a different skill set. Only slightly. Only
slightly, though. I use them in tandem often. So I do have a style that kind of complements both, or a system that incorporates them both in a consistent way. The only thing I would say is you get a lot. It can be more jam-packed or like information dense in a astrology reading that is more overview of information rather than honing in on a specific situation, which is what tarot does. So I loved reading for people. It is something I would do on occasion just to get that, also that confidence, that Six of Wands moment that we really did. We made it. We're reading in person. There were times where we were reading at the same time and there wasn't enough chairs or tables.
Right. I was sitting on the ground.
And you look iconic in the picture, and we're just both doing it. And it was such a great time in my life because I was able to do it with you. We were doing what we loved. We did really well. And I mean, the original star chart has Jupiter on MC. So, I mean,
this is just meant to be.
It's just meant to be.
This is where we belong.
We are. So we're happy about that. What does the future bring?
Yeah, let's figure out what the future is going to bring, because there's a lot that we can do. So I guess in order to answer what is the future for STAR, I think people need to know where it started. Where did it begin? So you are the person who created STAR.
I am.
So why don't you tell us when was STAR born, and tell us how it came together.
So STAR began as a Facebook group. And it came out of a need for a space to shitpost about tarot. We had been in spaces that shitposted about astrology, but I love tarot. That's where I felt my talents were shining. I love shitposting on Facebook, being funny, telling jokes, and I wanted to do it about tarot. So a group was created, and thus a community was born through specific types of humor, inside jokes, attention to parts of the demographic that are often ignored, and being what I like to call a counterculture to the counterculture. A commitment to authenticity rather than a love and light, toxic positivity space, and an emphasis on inclusivity and diversity and dissenting voices. Though over time, people became really, really good friends, and we have had periods of echo chamber situations. The community is constantly in flux for various reasons, because the Facebook platform itself, which could have its own episode entirely, also because of societal changes, as well as having to rebuild the community time and time again, and actually getting the opportunity to really edit and hone in and make changes that if we weren't otherwise edited in that way, we may not have committed to. So I think that has really shaped what STAR is today. So it's a community of tarot and astrology readers, a society. And the reason for society is because it's as complex as a society. We have, all types of STARlings, all types of people into all different types of things. But what brings us together is our love for tarot and astrology, and our love for each other. It really is, our personal friendships really are a driving force of the group. Not all Facebook groups are that way. There's lots of ways to have a Facebook group. This is just one way that we did it, and it's actually been lifted from your screen, from the message boards themselves and the posts themselves to your inbox, to create those intimate relationships where we can talk more one-on-one, to a city near you, which is where we are now, meeting up in person, being a society that cares about authenticity, living your life in accordance to the stars, for guidance, but people of all different religions and backgrounds as well, and helping people because it's the right thing to do. So serving the community, doing the right thing, activism adjacent, but all types of different stay in your lane type activism that we promote here at STAR. So very simply, to summarize, STAR is a Facebook community of tarot and astrology readers that is transitioning into what will be a civic organization of tarot and astrology readers in the future. So,
yeah. And that's like the main thing about STAR that I think is, that's all we require. Is you just have to know, not even know, because we do allow newcomers in the group, right? You don't have to be fully fluent in either of these esoteric arts in order to join. You just have to like it. You just have to be down to talk about tarot and astrology and experience the world through the lens. Because that's another big thing that I think sets STAR apart, is we really focus on the application of these sciences.
That is so true.
On how to live life. We talk about like
all throughout the day, we're talking about where the moon is, what the transits are, blaming our placements for our abundance of human shortcomings. It's not my fault, it's in my chart, it's written in the stars,
right? Or the cards of the day posts that we have, and getting everybody to like check about that. Or when we have a spread that's got us fucked up for whatever reason it is, or like we're just so confused we can't see the forest from the trees in this Celtic cross that we did. We can post it in the group and being like, I'm confused. I don't get it. What am I not understanding? And have people who really do know this and know you because you've been hanging out with us, we've been talking with each other, to get into it and be able to point things out. Or when we go live, you and I go live, with relative frequency in there.
Yes.
And just get to know these people through the act of drawing cards for them and giving them advice about how to like navigate that 10 of Swords, or what to do when justice pops up in your relationship reading and all of that kind of stuff. And so it's really about living the life and just experiencing the world through this lens.
And just talking about it all the time. I got so used to being around, either virtually or now in person, being around people that know what I'm talking about if I'm saying I'm feeling 4 of Cups today. And you get really spoiled being understood.
Yeah.
And then it's like, why would I want to go to places where they're not going to understand my astrology references? I'm going to be the weird astrology lady that's asking everybody their chart, where I enter a room where with Star, you enter a room where they all know your chart, they all understand charts, and you can take it from there. And I don't think anything like that exists in this sort of contemporary setting that's not like wizards and warlocks of whatever the fuck, LARP McGee Jones. Like, no shade to those communities, but like, we're the people that wouldn't be in that. No, now there is overlap. We got some wizards and warlock LARPs in Star as well. That's fun. It's not against that, but before, I feel like those spaces may have been some of the only places where you could maybe find somebody that, they're into, this, but they may not necessarily be into tarot or into astrology as part of their craft. There's been witchcraft or metaphysical or spiritual circles, but I want to talk to other people that, want to talk about different tarot publishers and whether I should go to Blue Angel or Hay House. Who should I talk to for a publication? People who are really into cartomancy, especially because there's more astrology too. I feel like on Facebook, astrology has a lot more representation, at least there. I don't. So that's what it's about, and now bringing it out of the air element and the cups element. We've been through the fire as well. It was born out of the fire. And I feel like now we're in a Pentacles portion of Star, where we're really doing the 1, the 2, the 3 of Pentacles, to build this into physicality. And I think this chapter here in Austin is the beginning. I mean, there's been lots of precursors. There's pre-lore that has led to this moment. And we don't want to forget like what has got us here. But at this point, really just seeing what the potential is for the physical manifestation of a society, of an organization that can allow us to represent our personal values as well as our spiritual values in a loose-fitting, inclusive, encompassing, authentic, and individualistic way. I think it's a very unique and dynamic community. I don't know what to compare it to, what brand or organization or situation or to compare it to, because I don't know that anything like this has existed before. Granted, maybe I didn't do my research, so if you guys out there know something that's similar, please let me know. But as far as I know, this is a unique approach to kind of setting the stage for a different kind of tarot and astrology reader to have representation outside of just extreme love and light spaces or extreme appropriative spaces or extreme academic or role play type. Okay, well, you can be the tarot reader, but put on this like crazy stereotypical costume and almost make a caricature of it rather than bringing it into real life. So one thing Nao said for the tagline, and I don't know if she said it in this particular episode, but is a tagline for us, is making the esoteric our reality, you know? And I always add to that we are the counterculture to the counterculture, because the witchy culture or the metaphysical spiritual culture we're already the others. We're already the weirdos. We're already the ones going to the own beat of our drum. We're already oftentimes the strangest one in the room. So, but now that that's mainstream in the age of Aquarius, surprise, surprise, debatable. We'll get into that on another episode. But we have, you know, because I got to be extra special. I'm a special fucking snowflake flower. I need to have my own space where we do our own thing. That's different to that, because there is a lot of shit in the community I just straight up disagree with.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the defining features of Star 2 that really does set it apart and makes us have our own unique culture is our commitment to authenticity, and one of the ways that we engage with tarot and astrology is through humor and comedy, but specifically within the context of the internet. So memes and shit posting and trolling and all of that kind of thing is like, it's just this weird synergistic blend that you don't see anywhere else, because we're the ones who look at the weird tropes that persist in the metaphysical community at large that we disagree with, and we voice our disagreement as a roast, as a hilarious meme, as like something that's funny, that we use the comedy as the tool to call out the behavior. That's like the mechanism through which we just like deal with that. Like, for example, one of the things that we dealt with early on in the group was the concept of, should tarot readers freaking charge? How it's like a gift and that you should not charge. Like, because again, some people view tarot as like a super spiritual thing. And so for that, and there's nothing wrong with this perspective, you're more than allowed to have it. The only thing that was like challenging was that we wanted to do this for our livelihood. We wanted to, you know, eat, sleep, and breathe tarot and astrology. And the way to do that, I mean, you got to have money. So you can eat, sleep, and breathe. Like, well, maybe not breathe so much, but like, in order to do that. So it's like, we were down
when they bottle air.
Right, when they bottle air, which may not be too far off.
Right.
But like, being able to do this as our livelihood, we've got to fucking pay our bills. And how when we first started like transitioning from being like just internet community, but like where you and I engage with our clients and stuff like that and make our money, like, we're having these conversations about like, hey, I'm going to do this reading for X amount of dollars. And people would comment on the post being like, you shouldn't charge because that goes against spirit. It's a gift that you have to read cards. And we had to like clown on these fucking people to like make them realize like what you're saying. It's, again, totally fine for anybody.
Can you tell my mechanic he has a gift?
Yeah, it's a gift to fix cars. It's a gift to have electricity come through the wires in your house. Like, I mean, it is, and it isn't. But like, so that could turn into a whole fucking segment in itself. Exactly. But like, to be able to like challenge those voices who wanted to dissent and like spread their particular interpretation of a thing as though it's gospel, and being like, well, we're gonna let you know you're wrong, but it's gonna be freaking hilarious while we do it. Yeah. And that's been like a feature of the group, is that roast. And like, same thing when it comes to the astrology, we post our charts and then we roast each other for it. So it's a lot of like, we use also the humor and the comedy to do the shadow work side of it too, because we'd be joking and lying in an unconstructive way to approach tarot and astrology from a purely love and light standpoint, because no single person, no birth chart's all freaking love and light, no tarot reading is all love and light, right? We have 10 of swords and towers for a reason, and bad placements. Chiron exists, you know, I mean, Chiron and Pluto, for fuck's sake, in Saturn, and even Mars is a malefic in certain instances. So we have to like learn to deal with the darkness, and I like to fucking laugh in the face of darkness, and I think that's a lot what of STARlings do. That's what makes you a STARling. Shadow
work is a huge component of what we emphasize. People living spiritual lives, however that may be, as there are all types of paths and belief systems within Star itself. But living spiritual first, or at least prioritizing spirituality in your daily life is a huge part of what we do as a community, which is an Aquarian way that people sort themselves out. You go to church. If you have a church with other like-minded people, you join a club with other like-minded people. You have a political affiliation with other people that have your same values and things like that. And people say that it's ninth house, and it is. It's also 11th, with the sense of community. So I think it's really cool that as a community we grow, and the diversity of the members itself really leads us in different directions. That's why it was so cool to meet Rainbow and Bradley for the first time, and in person. Now we've been very close online for a while and communicating with other forms, video chats and phone calls and messages and chats for years, but to be able to meet these people in person and see and really experience that sense of community, and how, I understand why the house of community and the house of, revolution is in the same house, because it really felt revolutionary. It really felt like what we were doing, bringing many, many islands together, many people who otherwise could be pretty isolated individually and not have a sense of belonging, and how empowering that sense of belonging while confronting the difficult and failing aspects of who we are as a society. And really, even that night, when we were all together, tackling those issues and those shortcomings in group that we do possess, just by virtue of being a society within a society. We live in a society. But yeah, and that's a huge part of it too, is calling out the fuck shit. That's what STAR is. We cannot talk about what STAR is and why if we don't mention fuck shit, personal, state, or otherwise. Whoever the fuck shit belongs to will get called out. We encourage calling out your own, calling out each other, and if you love someone, tell them the truth about themselves sometimes. All the time, actually. I would argue STARlings would probably argue all the time, tell somebody the truth about themselves, so that people can make good decisions based on reality. And I think it's actually very kind to tell the truth. So we do not adopt the lying ass nature of Aquarius. It would not be a STAR episode if I didn't roast Aquarius a bit. But everything else, yes, telling the truth and understanding the ebb and flow of just human nature, the dualities, the cycles, the learning opportunities, the shortcomings, the human triumph, the triumph of spirit, of the human spirit, of the divine, and seeing those things work in tandem. And our definition may evolve and grow, and will evolve and grow as we evolve and grow. It hasn't been a super tangible thing. But it's getting more tangible. This has made it more tangible than just like, 2 years ago, if we explained STAR, this would have been our intention, but now it's our reality.
Right. And we had we did set this intention a while ago. Like we said back in, at the end of 2019, we were like, as we were heading towards the new year, we were like, 2020 is going to be the year where we go and we start meeting STARlings in person. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. And then COVID had a different plan for us and made that not tangible and not safe for us. So we really had to knuckle down. And it was really nice to have a place like STAR already in existence when COVID came in, because that means we still had access to a place where we were able to socialize and engage. And we really, in the beginning, tried to maximize the fact that we started as a Facebook group and using the features thereof to stay connected and engaged and be interacting with each other. We were hosting watch parties of Jerry Springer episodes or of LA fucking cop car chases and shit to
cops. You guys were watching Cops one time.
Just kind of nostalgic shit to just keep us entertained and give us something to focus on while we were all shut in at home. So it was good that we still had that, but it just meant that we had to delay this actual in-person meeting of these people. Because, sometimes when you meet and you interact with people on the internet, they're not the same when you meet them in person. There's Sometimes there is a severe
There's
disconnect.
a risk. There's a risk. I'd be lying if there wasn't a risk.
But then here we are, after enduring this pandemic, things are finally like starting to seem like they're winding down, or to a place in which we're, COVID's just going to be a virus chilling out, just like the flu is every year, just like colds are every year. And that we've done all that we can do at this point to just have to accept it and like get ready for life after the lockdowns and mask mandates and social distancing. So now it's like, it's time. We waited it out, and now it's time for Star to hit the streets. And we did it here in Austin as number one. And it was phenomenal.
It was
phenomenal.
It went better than expected. It exceeded my expectations. I had more fun than I anticipated that I could have had. I was more connected, more happy, and more calm, and just better off in general. The anxiety it was just a really good experience overall in the city of Austin, which is has been a really welcoming place. And we've had very kind people at the event itself. Very little negative interactions, regardless of people's stereotypes of the United States or Texas. But I know people do say Austin is a more liberal space. I did experience that portion of it because we were in liberal parts of the society, as a witch fest would be. The witch fest isn't held on like Christian street. On some religious churchy McChurch. So we had a great time. The event was very calm. The energy was serene. I'm from California, so not all events are calm or serene, That's how I would describe it. How would you describe the actual like event vibe of Witchfest?
It was very, very calm. Like I could feel like, again, because of all the wind and a little bit, like you did feel tensions rise a little bit as people are trying, like, oh my God, our shit's blowing down, as people like try to figure that out. But the wind did like die down eventually, and we just kind of like settled into it, and the vibe was good. Everybody was friendly. I didn't like, it seemed like most people were having a really good time and really enjoying themselves. The vendors all seemed to be doing good and stuff too. We got to meet and just talk to some really neat people, and I love that we had not only the event where we could feel like we could get out there and talk a little bit more about Star, but then like having the ability afterwards to just meet up and just to keep the fun rolling and to just go and buy $200 worth of pizza in this random Airbnb and have everybody crowded around the kitchen island as we're hooting and hollering and actively like roasting each other in person. It was fun because it was just like the Star that we are when we're in that Facebook group or in those group chats or wherever else we're interacting with each other digitally. Like it smoothly transitioned without skipping a single beat to in-person interaction where we're doing the exact same thing.
The chemistry
just as hard, and the chemistry was perfect.
And you feel less weird because you're not looking down at a screen with people around you judging you. Why you're laughing so hard and why you're so glued to your phone, because you're no longer glued to your phone. It's no longer like an unhealthy attachment to social media. Now it is a healthy, fulfilling, loving, engaging experience with your closest friends.
Yeah. It was 10 of Cups as fuck, dude.
10 of Cups, the Star, all of it. It was absolutely beautiful. And we had a really good time, and I want to do it again. And I think this is, we talked about archetypes in our first episode. I'm going to bring it back. This was an archetypal experience. I think because I am a spiritual person, we are spiritual people, it's a sign for us that this went so well. Because if it didn't, as hard as it is to carry this torch, we didn't talk about the hardships that it has been to get to this point. If we had this experience and it went wrong and it went bad and we had a bad experience, it would be a different approach to what our future brings. But the fact that this went so well and it's so fulfilling and it's so healing to have a place of belonging for the people who find that in Star, that we're going to push forth with that even more. Because we know the potential. And nothing is ever as good as it was. This trip to Austin will always live in infamy. Star is a very nostalgic place, and everybody will bring up like, this was good, but it wasn't Austin good. If you were in Austin, which is part of the culture, and people will be salty. I see the people that are salty right now. Love you. Shout out to Noe. We love you so much. It was not the same without you. I absolutely need to say that. I love you so very much. But it really set the bar very high and let us know the possibilities that it can be. There was about 10 of us, a dozen, maybe a dozen. We'll just say around a dozen STARlings. I've tried to count, but I always get sidetracked. And we were supposed to have a guest book, and it didn't. Some things didn't. Mm-hmm. But we will happily try again, and we will emphasize the physical component of meeting one another and connecting with like-minded people. For those of you listening that went to the event, thank you so much for following up with us. And for those of you listening that would like that sense of community or to experience STAR as a Facebook community, not just a podcast, then check out our Facebook group. We will have links nearby for you to be able to do that. It's been amazing.
It has been. And I think this is definitely the start of us doing more events. So we've talked about, we will do Austin Witchfest next year. Just because there's so many STARlings here in the area who showed up. It proved that this is a good spot.
It's a chill city. If you need to drive around and it's a new city, it's not too hard to navigate. I have driving anxiety, for those of you who I don't know about driving. I don't know about going to Austin. I live kind of nearby. I could drive I feel like I could drive in the city. It's not too bad. The hotels aren't too expensive. Mm-mm. The Airbnb left some things to be desired, but it wasn't all that bad.
Yeah.
And it was affordable overall. For a getaway that ultimately was it super eventful? Was it super flashy? It's not what everybody would consider a good time, but it was perfect for us, which is what matters to us, is us and STARlings and what we want to do. And for us, we would have spent our weekend glued to our phones, all up in each other's lives anyway. It's beautiful to be able to do it in person and hug people that we have connected to so deeply and laugh and have chemistry with people.
And just really riffing off of each other and playing off of each other. And it was very like a Venus and Mars and Aquarius. It was very playful. It wasn't too rough, but it was extremely playful, extremely full of laughter, but also full of it was still profound, but not in a deep, everybody's got to go cry in the corner by themselves kind of profound. There were tears shed, but they were tears of joy. Mm-hmm. It was so joyful. And there was great hugs and embraces and laughter and just raw human connection that just made you feel comfortable in your, you are in the right place, you are in the right body, you are with the right people. Mm-hmm. And just confirmation,
validation, the opposite of gaslighting. You get to go back and say, how do we make this bigger? How do we include more STARlings? How do we make it so we have enough money to get so-and-so here next time? How do we maximize this? And how do we make adjustments moving forward? So that's what you'll see. You'll see us reaching for the stars, reaching for each other, and working really hard to make our dreams a reality. Mm-hmm. And I think Jupiter Pisces is going to help us out. Neptune on our North Node is going to help us out. So we look forward to what's to come.
Right. We're dreaming the future. And you know what? STAR may be coming to a city near you.
Watch out.
In the future. So if this is something that you guys are down for, if you want to just spend a whole day, an evening, a weekend.
Yes.
Hanging out with other tarot and astrology savants, readers, professionals, who are hilarious. But will give it as good as it's getting.
Yes.
And if you've got the skin and the tolerance for that kind of behavior.
Yes.
And the ability to look at yourself as a complete human being, not as some deva on high, spiritual being up in the clouds, but down here with us, people who are equally light and as equally as dark as everybody else here, being flawed and damaged and traumatized as we all are, to still come together, talk about what we love, have a great time, and laugh at ourselves and each other.
Yes. To deal with the bleakness of the world. It gives me hope. And it's such a beautiful thing. I want to thank the city of Austin, thank Bradley, Rainbow, everybody who came to the event.
Thank you, the organizers of Witchfest.
The organizers of Witchfest. And I want to thank all the STARlings that helped us get to this point. STARlings of past, present, and future. And we will talk to you guys on the next podcast. Thank you so much and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.